I just think I can't be anything but me. And if you don't like me, I never want to like hurt anyone or be rude. I don't ever think I cross a line where it can get to that. I'm always like really respectful, but I am what I am.
Welcome to The Backbone, a personal branding podcast for people that don't fit in the box. Today, we are joined by our good friend, Nadia. Now, Nadia, I don't know how to describe your career. I would say you're probably a bit of a woman, aren't you? So,
I thought you were about to say I don't know how to describe you.
Had to. Do you want to tell people a little bit about what it is you do and sort of how you got there?
So I currently work in I'm a marketing manager for an MSP called Zero, and we work across the EdTech and FinTech industry, and we're also starting to work internationally. I also host a supper club outside of work, which is called Table 4, which started off as a little project that I'd done called Table for One, where in 2020 I was living by myself and I'd cook meals for myself. So yeah, so I have a very different kind of day job of what I'm doing to then like my passion project, which is my supper club project.
So, I mean, like, we are huge fans of your supper club. We've been to a few of them now, and you basically kept me alive when I first had my twins because you had so how did you kind of get into cooking, and like how do you sort of create your events? Tell me about that.
I think it's interesting because this is the bit that does link between anything that I do, which is I love this idea of being able to bring people together to have conversations. I love food being at the center of it, but I also, and even if it isn't food, even in my job here, it's about kind of creating work that gets people talking, and that's always kind of where anything that, like, from a project perspective, it stemmed from. But my degree, I hate talking about degrees, by the way, because it's like always makes me cringe because that's my degree, but it's like what I studied. So I studied visual communication in Brighton, and I specialised in illustration, which makes me laugh because actually everything that I did wasn't illustration. It was very much video based, and it was all around storytelling. And then when I graduated, I worked in a coffee shop. I did pot washing, and which was probably one of the actually, I was about to say it's one of the funniest jobs I've had. That wasn't the funniest job. The funniest job I had was at Krispy Kreme, which was hilarious, where I served Nick Cave. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
What Krispy Kreme did Nick Cave buy?
Do you know, I can't remember what he had, but his children were with him, and I just remember feeling like an idiot because you had to wear a cap and you had to wear a t-shirt that said I love Krispy Kremes. And I remember thinking, this must be one of those moments where you're like having like this out of body experience, because I'm actually serving Nick Cave Krispy Kremes, and this is like totally not who I am. But you know, it was, yeah, that was such a strange job. Anyway, did pot washing, ended up working for a coffee roastery that was tiny at the time, and it ended up becoming like a really big success. But it was a really good, when you graduate from a creative degree as well, it's really hard to get into jobs and to be given these opportunities, and you have to have internships or know somebody in the industries. And I didn't. I was living in Brighton from the West Midlands, knew no one, didn't have any of those connections. But it turns out in the coffee shop I was meeting lots of people that were, you know, I was talking to, that were giving me ideas, and I was able to build off that. I ended up studying food styling. I did food styling for a bit, and in between that, obviously, I moved back to the Midlands. And then this is like kind of where everything massively changed in my life, where I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't get a job. I'm trying to work in agencies, and obviously it's that horrible thing where they're like, but you don't have enough experience or you're too experienced, and it's really frustrating. And at the time I was working as a receptionist and a hairdresser, just to obviously pay my bills. Ended up making my lunch, as you do, and then a friend of mine said, can I buy some of the lunches from you? And that's when I opened my first business, which was Feast, which is where everything really started. And that was like split into 3 different kind of types of businesses. So I did like street food in a horse cart that I'd converted, then I did food prep, and then I did like little pop-up restaurants. And essentially that was like the experience that I needed, but it was like the stem of all this storytelling. I ended up being able to create food, and that was always kind of the center of this like little moment in my life. I was like, this food, this is how I'm meeting people, whatever. And it's actually even how I ended up working where I am now at Consero, because they're very much like it's from 2 founders. They're very much again like ideas based. They're like taking risks. And I definitely was a risk, because I'd had all this experience, but it was like trying to formulate. I was trying to get all the ideas of generally how I process information and build ideas, and I ended up doing it here. So strangely, even though this is another pet peeve of mine, sorry, just as a little side note, I get really annoyed when people want to work in marketing and they're like, it's because like I really want to be like creative and whatever. And marketing is actually like numbers, strategy, CRM systems. And I always want to go, just have a moment, like, you know, especially like when you're kind of trying to find out what you want to do, have a moment, really think if you want to be more design heavy or marketing, because I struggle because I'm very much more design heavy, which I think you see in the supper club. That's where I kind of get to work on that. But a lot of the time I end up just making like strategies to like build campaigns and make money. And that sounds awful, doesn't it? But
all about the dollar bills. Love it.
you've got to. So yeah.
Cool. Okay. And like with your foods, whenever you host your events, whenever you've done anything, you can really tell that you really bring your personality into it as well. Like the menu of the one the other day had sort of different parts from your heritage, things that you really care about at the minute. I love how you kind of like bring yourself into the meal. It feels like we're eating like with you, even if you're not in the room. Like how important to you is it that you do that kind of stuff?
Well, the supper club was based on having a small group of people together that was like an affordable, accessible for everyone to be able to go and eat food. And it's lovely that you say that, because that's essentially how I want it to be. I want people to feel like they're sat around my table and feel comfortable. And I think it's also that balance of it's nice for people to be able to be quiet around a table and not feel the need to talk. And then there's also people there that can talk for you. And sometimes it's nice just to be sat in that moment. So I think that's the beauty of the supper club. When I try and plan it out, I try and put certain people together for different conversations. But that is very much kind of who I am as well. Like it's about taking the time to understand people, and food is always that, like, you know, it's that connection piece that it feels comfortable to be able to talk around food and get to know people or listen to conversations and stories. You don't always have to be the person that's talking. It's just nice to be centered around it. But the last supper club felt particularly special because the menu was had been designed around particularly my dad's heritage, because my dad's Jordanian, and I really wanted to build that into it. But I think the main thing for me going to like the personal branding bit is, and with these kind of moments, I love it when people are a little bit honest with their like stories of when things have gone right or when things have changed. And I think it's really hard to naturally get that in quite like work environments or like internships or whatever. And what I love about the supper club is that everybody can go there and talk about these things, and like, I hate the term that I'm about to use, but I'll just go with it, but naturally network with each other. Because last year I went to lots of these like events to meet people, and I just felt like I found it really hard to be on a level with everyone. I was like, oh, this just isn't me, and I find it really uncomfortable. And the most natural conversations for me is like if you're in the pub and you're at the bar and so on. I don't know, like it just feels like you're with your friends, and I don't think that business and all those things always has to be so like cutthroat, corporate. I think they can be so much more natural, and I think it's really hard, like, for people to kind of break down those barriers of trying to get into different industries or even build their own brand or whatever they want to do, even if it's a personal project, because a lot of the time you feel nervous that no one's going to like it, or you know, you're worried if it's going to fail. And I know that like everyone talks about now, like I failed and I'm so proud, but actually failure is really uncomfortable and it's horrible. I have failed so many times at so many businesses, which probably, you know, like the majority of people hardly ever know that, and that's horrible to kind of build back from it. And you do always come back stronger, but it's nice that at the supper club you can all talk on a level, you can all say these things. It doesn't have to be transactional, you can just go there just for some food or just to hear conversation. And I also wanted to do something in Wolverhampton. That was the other thing, because I just felt like I'm really fortunate that I've got really great people around me, and they've got so much talent, and it's like such a big scope, but it just always goes elsewhere, and I'm just tired of it. I'm tired that I have to like travel for an hour to go and meet someone that's hardly ever going to like take the time, because I've traveled an hour, and I just think, well, why am I traveling? We've got all these people here. And actually I just wish that people created more of these kind of like projects, even if they're personal, business, whatever, so you can all go and just meet, and if you don't like it you don't have to go again. So that's what's nice about the supper club and my job, really. I think it's nice because I always just want to make people feel comfortable.
Just touching on what you said there about failing and how awkward it can be. Nothing's private anymore either, is it? You're failing on such like a public platform. Everything's on social media.
Yeah.
No, so I don't mean you personally, but just anyone who takes it. Yeah. And what did you learn from going to similar events and that you said you didn't feel comfortable or they were awkward? What were the lessons you took away that helped you start?
This is a really weird example. I hate running, but I make myself run because actually it's good for you to a certain extent. So I knew that I was avoiding going to these events, but I thought like this is going to be good for me, and it was good for me because it made me think, do you know what? It's lovely having chats with lots of different people and hearing the variety. And I actually still massively say like go to these events, go and meet lots of people and talk, but I don't think that model works for everyone. And it's so easy to say, keep going to network events, keep talking to people, but I wish that they were slightly different, each one. And I do think you need the variety. It's not just going just one kind of style of one. And the value of it, yeah, like it is like lots of, it does feel more public now. And probably when I was younger, it bothered me. But no, it doesn't bother me so much. And I think I'm not even old when I say this, that you start to become more comfortable and you just think it's whatever like your measure of success is anyway. Like now, I think I have like currently, I don't want to jinx it, I've got a good balance between my job, where I learn a lot in my job and it changes frequently, which is part of my job, and but then equally on the evening I'm able to explore this project that I really love, and strangely comes extremely naturally to me. It doesn't stress me. It's so enjoyable, like I love it. And I think that really helps too. I think it's having variety as well. I think that's the other thing.
Do you think there's through lines between the two jobs, between marketing and and what you're doing on an evening? Do you think there's anything that supplements one, and maybe one works for the other, or vice versa?
I don't know, because when I first started my job, like in marketing, I was very much design heavy, and I've had to let some of that go, which makes me sad, but that's just the nature of the job as you grow it. But my day job teaches me a lot generally about business and stuff. If I now went back and had Feast, if I could go back, I know there's so many things that straight away I just would not do again, because I wasn't great at building like strategies. And as I know I keep going back to it, but as bad as it is, but about generating income, like at school, they should teach you, if you want to be self-employed, how you do like your self-assessment, all these different things, like boring things that actually matter. But having this job has taught me loads, and it does blend in because I design and do everything, and I learned that from being here.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible person for wearing, I'm like one of those people that wears too many hats. So like my friends really abuse it of me. So they're like, oh, can you create my wedding invite? And I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to, because like, yeah. And then they're like, oh, my friends are coming in a few weeks. Would you mind like making us some food or whatever? And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I end up doing everything. Oh, I'm opening this new business. Will you help me write a business plan? Not really, but I end up doing it.
Nothing wrong with being a useful person, Nadia.
Oh no. And do you know what? I wish I was more of an expert at one thing. Mm-hmm. I do actually sometimes wish that about myself. I like scope through.
I think it's great that you do a little bit of everything though. And like, I think one thing that you're really good at in particular is like, you're not afraid to like start at the beginning of something and like work your way through something. Like, I know obviously you were sort of a little while ago thinking maybe like you wanted to get back into food and catering and all that kind of stuff. So you went waitress for a couple of years, didn't you?
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah. So I worked at a gorgeous natural wine bar in Birmingham. Do you know, that was a great time as well, Sam? Thank you for reminding me. I totally forgot. Did that for 2 years. Again, I think that's the thing that always, for me, it's the people bit. I met so many amazing people, and I worked quite like independently at Conzero for a while, like where it was, we were like in that uncomfortable stage of like we were growing, and and you like have to do like more roles, and anyway, it's great now. But so in between my day job, I started at the wine bar because I was really missing having connection with people and feeling like inspired, and that was such a key part for me. And gosh, I learned so much at that job. What I did not learn about though was wine. Which is obviously terrible considering what my job was. And I really feel sorry for the 2 guys that I worked with, because I must have like absolutely panicked them when I worked with them, because I was just like, what's this? But yeah, that was an amazing time as well. But I think it comes back to lots of people were like, why are you doing 2 jobs? And I was like, well, why not? It's like a social thing. It's lovely to meet people. I was in a new area. I'd like travel an hour every weekend to go and work there, but it was lovely because you do sometimes have to push yourself into those environments and that in itself to me was meeting new people in like natural environments. It wasn't like all like awkward, where I hate business kind of events. And Sam, you're amazing at that. Me and Rachel will say, look, you go to these events and you just like go around, you're like, hi. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable. Like I sweat. I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to talk. I can't bear having to like speak to somebody from or talk about finances. I'd just be like, oh no, this is awful. But you're great at that.
Sam is brilliant. I've been to a few networking events with Sam. I've been trying to figure out what it is that she's so good at. I think she's brilliant at staying neutral, at just riding a sort of a line that doesn't give too much away, but allows other people to sort of open up. And
asking people questions. But you say that, and I'm okay at it in the moment, but I'll come home after and then I'm like, don't talk to me for 2 hours. I just can't talk. I completely burn out.
Turn all the lights off.
Yeah, just leave me alone. Like, nobody speak to me. So yeah, it's like, I think, you're either great at it in the moment and then it just completely ruins the rest of your day.
You're ready, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. There's always a quick exit, and
But I think you've done amazing though. Like, if I think like of all the stuff that like you've achieved, and like, again, from that personal branding perspective, I find it, because can be really awkward because you feel like you're having to really put yourself out there, but I think you do it so naturally, Sam, and it's like so like refreshing to be able to like speak to someone where you don't feel like you got to be like, hi Sam, what's your business, what's your job title, and it's just like normal, and you're just like a normal nice person. You're like, hi, yeah, it's been a shit day, hasn't it? It's just nice, it's just refreshing to actually say to someone, like talk to somebody on a level, because it's awkward.
Just to repay the compliment there, Nadia, it's something I always admired about you. It always seems from the outside that you're consistently yourself. No matter who you're speaking to, you always come across in a very sort of similar tone, which probably lands you in hot water as much as it does help you. Is that something that you find natural, or is that something that you've had to work on over the years?
No, I am just myself. I can't be anybody else. I don't want to be anybody else. I just think I can't be anything but me. And if you don't like me, I never want to like hurt anyone or be rude. I don't ever think I cross a line where it can get to that. I'm always like really respectful, but I am what I am. I couldn't. I don't know. I'm really bad at being fake.
That's a superpower, though. What comes natural to you for other people is incredibly difficult, and they have to really sort of work on it over years to achieve what you're doing in your stride. So,
I don't know. Even though it was funny the other evening at the supper club. So Rachel, our friend, who's amazing, this time just wanted to be in the kitchen. She was like, I just want to be in the kitchen. I just want to feel like comfortable just doing that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I had somebody come and help me with the photography, Naomi, and that was so good. And it was actually the first time I was able to like go around and speak to people, because normally I'm like, well, I'm doing like a lot of it. But at the end, everyone was like, oh, wish you'd do this full time. I wish you could you just need to do this. And it's a lovely compliment, and it's great. But I also think it's just because I am myself that people just think, oh, it would like just comes naturally. But because I just love it at the moment and it's small, I almost don't want to change it, which is probably a little bit of fear as well, because I just want to be like, oh, I just want to have one nice consistent thing going on that's just creative and everyone's happy for now. Because in the day, like most people's day, like, you know, it's like I can have like really high intense moments, or like, you know, there's lots going on. So just to be able to have that consistency, I think it's having like really lovely people around you that make you feel comfortable to be yourself too. And I think I'm really lucky for that, because like to be able to work with Rachel on that, we really complement each other. Even though I think last time I really pushed her where I was like, please come out of the front with me.
I think there's a real confidence though in keeping things small when they're going well. I know everyone's always like, you need to scale, you need to get investment, you need to grow, but actually if you've got something that works really well, that's a community, and you manage to keep it like at a good size and it's small enough that it still feels like you're hanging out with old friends, there's such a confidence in being able to like maintain that without thinking about all the pressures of like growing and stuff.
Makes it special as well, if it's not every single week.
And you know, I think the thing is for me, again, it's lovely. I can't wait to do more, and I hope that more people come, or different like people. I start to see lots of new kind of faces and stuff. But I think going back to where we're from, not to make it geographical for this podcast, because obviously, you know, you can work anywhere. But I think for me as well, the project, I really would love to do more for Wolverhampton. And that was something as well when I had Feast, not originally, when I had Feast, it was, I'd come from Brighton, I'd been spoilt with all this food and it was just amazing. And then I came here and I was like, oh, I just want to walk and get a coffee. And I know that other people want that too. And I know that other people want food. And I'm probably like being like really annoying saying this, but like without having to travel for ages or pay lots of money. And I just want that people feel comfortable, because there's already enough going on where everybody feels like you're on this rat race. Everyone's like, it's hard enough just like paying your bills, just getting by. You know, apparently you have to have 8 hours sleep, go to the gym. Now everyone's doing reformer Pilates. Can't afford it. I love it though. But you've got to do all these things, and just sometimes you just want to sit there and either talk or not talk and just have a nice plate of food. It really actually is that simple. There's nothing really else about it. And I love cooking. I love cooking. I love everyone being comfortable to sit there, and it's just nice to have like a table that looks like it's mildly presented and it feels a little bit special, but not that you've had to like save for the last 8 weeks to afford it.
All right, then let's like talk about the day job a little bit. So obviously you're working in EdTech, and I imagine there's lots of very serious things you have to deal with there, lots of rules, lots of regulations, all that kind of stuff. So how do you bring like creativity and fun into what you do there?
Well, I have to be told all the time to not do something in my job, because I want to do the maddest ideas. And again, I'm really lucky because my founders are, they love like pushing the boundaries of things too. But yeah, in the last year, it's like become more and more serious. I think in my main job, in my day job, the bit that like consumes my mind the most is whenever I'm making a decision, I have to think about every member of staff, of how it affects them. And I actually think that's the biggest thing that consumes my mind, where I'm like, okay, what's the impact of this across like a whole company? And that's probably the bit that consumes me the most. But
what do you mean, how it affects the other employees of the business?
Yeah, because one decision you make, like for example, like we're going to an event, we're running this new campaign, we're doing like this event, it's going to be really exciting, but the implications of any of the marketing tactics that we've put in place will affect a whole group of people. And I want everything to go well and not affect anybody's job role. Because like if I run a campaign and you know further down the line it causes a problem for somebody in another department because I didn't consider that will bother me. And then I think, oh no, I've absolutely smashed up their week. Like they're already, you know, dealing with XYZ, and now they've got to deal with my problem on top of that. So that's probably a big thing that consumes my mental time. But again, in my day job, it's having the right people around you. That's what makes it easy. I've had to turn into that person. I loved being the person that was kind of being able to make everything and work on these like campaigns, but now I have to be the person that just generates the idea and very rarely gets to make it, which is a bit sad, but it's nice for everyone else.
It's that thing again, isn't it, of trying to retrain yourself into not being a Renaissance woman, but just focusing on one task at a time.
Do you know what I've had to try? My thing at the moment is not being a perfectionist and being breezy. And when I say I'm being breezy, it's a lot of the time because I'm not breezy. So like, for example, this year we did a rebrand, and it was the uniform that pushed me over the edge when the stitching came through and it wasn't correct. Well, it wasn't to what I felt it should have been. And the guy that delivered the boxes, he came in, and I really I think I'm quite like an approachable person, but I don't think anybody here will say that I'm like breezy. and this man looked petrified. I swear I've never seen a man look so scared. And I was like, I'm not telling you off. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to like be like,
Yeah.
It's wrong. What are we gonna do? I didn't know how to be like it's wrong. So that's probably the other thing with me, that trying to not be a perfectionist, work on a level, because everyone's ideas are different, like everyone's levels are different, aren't they? But I was like, and my one director is like an extreme perfectionist. I don't know if he would say that, but he is. So I try and think, what does he want? And when I saw the uniform, I thought, he can't see it. He can't see the uniform. He's going to go mad. And you know, even now, sometimes I see bits and I think, I hope he hasn't seen that. I hope he hasn't seen that little tweak. So, yeah, probably quite boring.
It's the classic job interview answer, isn't it? Do you have any flaws? I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah. Do you know, if I went for a job interview, I'd be terrible, because I'm that classic situation that if I didn't tick all the boxes on the job spec, I probably wouldn't apply for it, which is ridiculous. Like, that, no one should do that. You should fluke it. But I can't lie. This is something that's, yeah.
Try it.
I am so bad.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about this? Yeah, I think it's really bad.
It's that thing again, isn't it, Nadia, about being authentic and true to yourself?
Can I just, do you know, I'm going to go back to this. But that to me is friendship and caring. So, like, you know, if you're going out on a night out and you put on an outfit, this is again an awful example, and you went to your friends, like, what do you think? You know, if you look awful, you'd want your friends to tell you.
Yes.
I just don't understand. I think that's caring, and like that you love someone. Like
you say, it's finding the way to be honest, isn't it, without being cruel. I think is that's the balance, isn't it, that you need to strike.
You know, it is though, Tom, because you know my mum, she's really honest. So if I look bad in something, she's like, oh, you've got a lovely face, but you look terrible in that outfit, and I'll be like, oh, cool, see, thank you.
It's all in the dinner, isn't it?
She literally, if anyone ever wants the truth, you know, the other day I woke up, I had the biggest spot here. Came downstairs and I went, oh no, I've got such a big spot. And she went, it's not big, it's enormous. And I went, yay. Woo, thanks, Dick. I was like, I've just got to go with it.
If you just start all of your criticism with, you have a lovely face, that might work then.
That is literally what my mum is like. But also, mum thinks I'm perfect. So
yeah, you have a lovely face, but the uniform's wrong. Yeah,
the uniform. You have. Oh, that poor man. I still actually feel bad. I think that man sees my name and thinks, not her. And I'm a dab hand for being able to see if something's out. Like if it's not aligned properly, I like don't even have to like have any guides. I'm like, that's out. And we had a sign man come and I went, oh, I think that's an inch out. And he was like, no, it's not. And then I tried to, because I'm trying to learn, I was like, and I went, oh, okay. And I was like, do you mind if maybe we measure it just to double check to make me feel better? And then it was an inch out. I was like, yes. I went, I told you it was an inch out. And then I was like, level it back, Nadia. Don't be a know-it-all. Don't be that person. But yeah.
No, I love that you're like aware that you're learning though, and you are really self-aware. And I think so many people aren't self-aware and they don't recognize like anything that they're doing a lot of the time. But you seem really considered and thoughtful with like absolutely everything you do, and I think that's a real skill.
I just think that anything I do will put my time or energy into, I want it to be as good as it can be, not just for myself but for everyone. Again, for my job, like I probably take it too personally in that way, but I think I'm responsible for supporting my team to make sure that we still have jobs, so we can pay our rent, so we can, you know, pay our bills, boring things. But I just think you all need to be accountable, and that if you all, you know, try your best, it doesn't matter if it goes wrong. It's not the end of the world at all. But if you try your best, then it's good. And that even works for the supper club. You know, like if I've if something hasn't quite gone to plan, I actually feel comfortable enough to go out and be like, oh, guys, dish, it's awful. Can't serve it. We're going to have bread and butter.
Yeah.
I actually would, though. I actually would do it because I'd rather be honest with people and just go, it hasn't gone to plan, but everything else is okay. So let's roll with it. And I think people respect that. And then people end up wanting to be part of it. So
I like being part of your gang anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, thanks, guys.
I feel like through the conversation, we've hit a couple of sort of things that you've learned maybe along your journey. Like, don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Do things that make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Be authentically you. Is there anything else you think you've picked up along the way that you maybe would have told yourself 10, 15 years ago if you could?
I would say, again, it's really cringy, but not everybody's kind of life path is the same. So I'm 34. I live with my mom, which I never expected that I'd go back and forth home like so many times. You know, I don't have like kids and things like that. And I think that if I had known that years ago that was going to happen, I'd be like, oh no, it hasn't. I thought that it would be like that. And actually, it's fine. I mean, in fact, it's lovely, and I feel really content. And I think that there's too many things around us that make you think that you probably should be doing something or be in a certain place in your life. Like going to work in the wine bar, everyone was like, oh, isn't that a bit like awkward that you're older? And I was like, no, it's lovely. I just don't think you can be like, life's not black and white, is it?
Yeah.
And probably to take more risks. Like if you've got no responsibilities, at least I think, oh God, but if you've got no responsibility or anything, do it. Just absolutely go for it. You don't know what's ever going to happen from it. And I think that's quite exciting in a strange way.
Well said.
Tom, can I just end? You haven't mentioned that I made the menu vegan for you as my vegan guest.
Okay, Nadia made a vegan menu for me. Thank you very much.
I made the whole menu vegan,
not
not
just one menu either. Several menus over several years.
I know. I just really make an effort for my vegan friends. So yeah,
it's a bit of an unspoken secret. My veganism. I don't bring it up. I don't want to be that annoying vegan who never shuts up about it. So.
And you know, everyone in my office. I said this to you the other day. Like everyone in my office thinks that like all I eat is broccoli.
Mm-hmm.
That's the stereotype. I think I won the ethical award this year at where I work, and it really made me laugh because I don't actually know what I do that's ethical. I think that they think that I'm like some eco warrior, which I think is really good to be an eco warrior, but I'm actually not. I
was just about to ask, what is ethical marketing? Or is that too
it's everything that I don't do. Cut that.
You're not marketing cigarettes, and that's enough for me. Cool. All right. If people want to find out more about you and the Next Table 4 and all of your brilliant work, where can they find you?
On Instagram. I think it is Table 4 on Instagram. I can't remember exactly, but it's Table 4 on Instagram. And I think everybody should follow, and I would love more people to come. I'd like more people to come. I'd like more men to come, by the way, because I think people just think it's just women. I'm like, no. So thank you, Tom, for always being there to support for men. So more guys come in, and people to come with their friends as well. Yeah.
We'll put all the details in the episode information as well. So we'll get your social links.
Put you out there. Cool. Thank you so much, Nadia. That was amazing.